All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. I want you to imagine stepping onto a beautiful, sunlit porch in San Diego. The year is 1901. You can feel that crisp autumn air settling in, and a 72-year-old grandfather is sitting down to share the absolutely wild story of his 19th century life with his young grandson, Lyle. This is the life memoir of David Jackson Carringer. We're going to call him DJ. And he is a man who literally built his life with his bare hands all across the American frontier.
Just listen to how he starts off. Come sit by me a spell, Lyle, so that when you're a grown man, you'll know where you came from. It's such a great, intimate moment. You see, DJ and his wife, Rebecca, had just celebrated a massive milestone, their 50th wedding anniversary, right there at their home on Brooklyn Heights. I mean, half the neighborhood stopped by. People were shaking his hand, leaving little gold coins in a dish for the couple. It's really a moment of deep reflection for a guy who has survived a rapidly, and I mean rapidly, changing century. And this whole journey, it perfectly maps out the classic arc of American expansion. They were a family moving across a developing nation just chasing opportunity. They go from Pennsylvania to Iowa, out to the really rough terrain of Colorado, and then finally all the way to the coast of California. We're going to follow this exact timeline today as DJ completely reinvents himself time and time again. Section 1, A Pennsylvania Boy Hotnet. So DJ's story starts off far, far away from any ocean. He was born on November 4th, 1828, in Sandy Creek Township, Mercer County, Pennsylvania. And he was born into a bustling, probably incredibly loud farmhouse with 10 kids. His dad was a successful farmer. Actually, he held land worth $2,000 back then, which was a huge sum of money and a real marker of success. But, childhood innocence doesn't last forever. In April of 1848, DJ's mother, Sarah, passed away. She was buried at Kelso Farm Cemetery before DJ even hit his 20th birthday. And this early heartbreak was a huge turning point. It basically ripped him right out of boyhood and forced him into adulthood, but it also laid the foundation for the intense resilience that defined the rest of his life.
He actually wrote about the profound weight of that moment later on, saying it teaches a young man something to bury his mother that early. You can just feel the heaviness in that, right? It's a really stark reminder that history isn't just a bunch of dates to memorize, it's lived human experience. That deep personal loss really hardened his resolve for the crazy decades ahead.
But instead of letting that grief completely paralyze him, DJ made a pretty pivotal choice. While his brothers just stuck to farming like their dad, DJ went and learned a highly specialized trade. He became a joiner. Now, if you don't know, a joiner is basically a master carpenter. They construct buildings by perfectly joining pieces of wood together, truing the beams, and setting the joints so they don't have to rely entirely on nails. It basically ensures the structure won't sag over time. And this wasn't just a day job for him. This was his ultimate survival tool. It's a skill that would keep him fed anywhere in the country.
Fast forward a few years, and we hit a really beautiful milestone. October 16th, 1851. DJ marries Rebecca Spangler. Reverend McAdams performs the ceremony, and it's proudly written right there in the family Bible. This is the official start of an incredible 50-year partnership. Their family starts growing pretty fast, too, with the birth of their sons, Harvey and Henry Austin, which gave DJ a massive sense of purpose as a father.
Section 2, Westward to Iowa. By the late 1850s, Pennsylvania was just getting way too packed for the expanding Carringer clan, and land prices were going through the roof. So, looking for better ground, the family, which now included DJ's widowed father, packed literally everything into wagons and headed west. They ended up settling in Columbus City, Iowa, and the details we have of his success there are just incredible. Looking at his 1870 farm inventory, you can clearly see the thriving operation he built from the ground up. 4 horses, 3 milk cows, 9 hogs, fields of wheat, corn, oats, potatoes, and 200 pounds of butter produced in a single year. The whole operation was valued at nearly $700, which was a fantastic achievement for a farmer at that time. But hey, 19th century farming was always a massive gamble. You were totally at the mercy of the markets and the weather. And in the fall of 1872, that gamble failed for DJ. The entire farm, all his stock, his tools, even their household furniture, it all had to be sold off at a public auction. It's a pretty devastating reality to think about. Everything he built in Iowa was just gone, and he was forced to pick up the pieces and start from scratch all over again.
Section 3, Colorado Joy and Sorrow.
So in 1873, the family takes another huge leap. This time they head out to Caribou in Boulder County, Colorado. Now, Caribou was this rough, freezing, thin-air mountain town where guys were literally digging silver straight out of the rocks. But DJ didn't just move there and keep his head down. He got involved. He actually signed the official petition to incorporate Caribou into a proper town. I think this really highlights his strong civic duty. No matter where he went, that builder's mindset kicked into gear. He wanted to lay down roots, help establish laws, and actually build a real community. But Caribou is also where the family faced their darkest hour. 15 years, 6 months, 12 days. I want to just pause for a second because the tragedy behind this specific number is heartbreaking. This was the exact lifespan of DJ's only daughter, Effie, before she passed away on June 8, 1874, and was buried down in Columbia Cemetery. To DJ, this wasn't just some historical statistic. He said, "I still remember the exact count, because a father does." It was a permanent scar. The family carried that heavy grief with them forever, along with the tragic loss of DJ's infant grandson, Davy David. They kept on living, because out on the frontier you didn't have a choice, but they never forgot the pieces of their family they had to leave behind in the soil. After that tragedy, the family ended up moving down the mountain to Boulder proper. DJ goes right back to his trusted carpentry and joinery tools to make ends meet. But this part is really cool. His son, Henry, steps up and starts learning the millwright trade right beside him. A millwright is a super specialized tradesman who deals with complex milling machinery and water wheels. So you're seeing this torch of highly skilled manual labor being passed right down to the next generation. Still, the human body has its limits, right? By age 56, slinging around heavy carpentry tools was really taking a toll on his aging bones. So DJ reinvents himself yet again. He trades in the heavy tools and starts working with fruit orchards down in the sunny Colorado valleys. I mean, it's a brilliant illustration of his physical adaptability and just an unyielding work ethic. When one door closed, or his body simply demanded a break, he just pivoted. He always found a new way to provide.
Section 4, California and 50 years.
Eventually, the unbreakable pull of family drew them to move one last time, all the way out to San Diego just to be near their grandson, Lyle. DJ and Rebecca, along with their other son Harvey, followed Henry all the way out to the very edge of the continent, to an ocean they hadn't ever seen growing up. When DJ arrives in 1898, what does he do? He immediately builds an $800 cottage at 30th and Ivy. He proves he is absolutely still a builder at heart, making sure he's close enough to watch little Lyle grow up. But jump ahead just 3 years to 1901, and we see him finally peacefully settling into elderhood, celebrating that massive 50th anniversary. He and Rebecca actually got a good laugh out of the local newspaper, warmly calling the party an enjoyable affair for the aged couple. Section 5. What I want you to remember. Let's head back to that sunlit porch with young Lyle. DJ wasn't just rattling off random facts about his past to the kid. He was deliberately passing down the profound meaning behind this huge geographical and emotional journey. The real Carringer legacy wasn't about the specific jobs they had, whether they were doing carpentry or farming or growing fruit, and it definitely wasn't about the specific states they lived in. It was all about their staggering resilience. I mean, they endured the loss of parents, children, entire livelihoods, but they were always willing to just start over when the old place gave out. And what anchored them? It was their totally unshakable devotion to their family.
And this brings us to the absolute core of the whole thing. DJ looks at his grandson and says, "That's not luck, Lyle. That's family. That's showing up for one another, moving when you must." It's his ultimate thesis on life. The real secret to surviving a turbulent world and actually living a life well lived, it isn't luck and it isn't money. It's holding on to the people you love as tight as you can, for as long as you possibly have them.
So, here's my question for you, and I want you to really think about it. What legacy will you build when it's your time to start over? Because if there is one thing DJ Carringer's incredible journey teaches us, it's that starting over isn't the end of your story. It's quite literally just the foundation for your next chapter. The next time life forces you to rebuild, I hope you channel that exact same resilience. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.